Hey everyone, I hope your spring break is going well. I just wanted to give you guys a little extra help, a little bit more resources on doing the art project, especially on how to cut off pieces of a graph. Okay, so we went over this in class, but it was a little bit fast. So I just wanted to explain it just a little more, starting with this. Okay, so we have here the equation of a circle, right? We went over this in class, but again, all of these points make this equation true. And I've plotted some example points. You can see all of these points that I've labeled here are all on the graph. We've got 4 comma 3. Well, if I plug that into the graph, it makes it true, right? Negative 5, 0. If I do negative 5 squared plus 0 squared, it does equal 25 and so on, right? And I want you to see what happens if I add something to this line with the equation in it. Let's try this. I'm going to add a curly bracket, right? So shift, open brace, 0 less than equal sign x. And I'm going to close the brace there. What just happened? Half of the circle disappeared. Why? Well, what this line is telling Desmos, right, is saying draw this equation like normal, but only include the points, right, where the x coordinate is bigger than or equal to 0. So, for example, this point here, it's on the circle, right? And its x coordinate 4 is bigger than 0. So this part of the circle is on there. Similarly, down here, the x coordinate of this point is 3. 3 is bigger than 0, and so it still graphs that part. But what about this point over here on the left? The x coordinate is 5 or negative 5. Negative 5 is not bigger than 0. It's less than 0. And so it's no longer on the semicircle of the graph that's being drawn by the computer. In fact, I can even put a second inequality. Let's try this. Less than or equal to 4. Now, a little chunk of the right part of the circle is missing too, because this is saying draw this circle as normal, but only include the points where x is bigger than 0 and less than or equal to 4. So these 2 points are still on there, right? 3 is between 0 and 4. 4 is between 0 and 4. But this point out here, 5 is not in that interval, right? And so the point 5 comma 0 used to be on the circle, but now isn't anymore. Okay, I can get rid of this. I can use a y instead of an x to cut off vertical parts of the circle as well. Let's try this. Let's try negative 3 less than or equal to y. Now a bottom part of the circle is missing, right? Because this is saying graph all the points where the y coordinate is bigger than negative 3. Well, here the y coordinate in this point is 0. 0 is bigger than negative 3. So this point is still on the part that's graphed. This point, though, isn't, because negative 4 isn't bigger than negative 3. Negative 4 is less than negative 3. So by using these inequalities, we can cut off pieces of our graphs. And this is going to be really, really useful for our project. Another tip is that the sliders that we've been using before, those still work. Those still work in our curly braces. And so if you can't really tell where you want to cut off, let's say I want to cut off maybe here somewhere, I can actually just put in sliders with A and B and then slide my slider until it gets to the point I want. So maybe there, for example, I want to hit just the purple dot. There we go, right? And or maybe I want to just go from the red dot, the bottom red dot to the purple dot. I'll just fiddle with these sliders a little bit, and there we go. So now I know that negative 4 is A. Oops, sorry. I now know that negative 4 is A, and B is 3. And I can reuse these sliders for later, but even if they go away, my image stays as is. Okay, so this is going to be a really useful tool for creating our art project. No, I can do this with any graph here. Let's say y equals x squared minus 9. Let's try that. Look, right? I can cut off things this way as well. I can cut off, for example, 1 over x there. It's 1 over x, but it's cut off. Okay. I can even add multiple parentheticals to cut off multiple sections of the graph if I want to. So I want you to play around with that and play around with using the sliders wherever you can to try and get more pieces of the graph, the pieces of the graph that you want on the art.